It's 4 a.m. You wake up. Again. The same loop. Scroll, overthink, stress. The glow of your phone washes over your face like cold light on a hospital bed. News updates, algorithmic dread, other people's curated lives. Everything feels louder at night. Every failure, every what if. But tonight, something ancient echoes back. A whisper from a Roman emperor. A letter from a philosopher in exile. A crippled man who was more free than his masters. What if everything you're feeling has already been survived, beautifully? If this speaks to you, stay, because over the next hour, you might just find the calm you've been chasing. You sit there, motionless, not because you're still, but because you're stunned. Like the world is moving too fast for you to catch up. The emails, the bills, the relationships slipping through your fingers. You try to hold it together, but the seams are fraying. And somehow, the more you try to fix it all, the more it all seems to collapse. You feel like you're failing. But what if you're just trying to control what was never yours to hold? There's a question ancient Stoics posed often. What is up to you and what is not? It sounds simple, obvious even. But when your world's unraveling, it's easy to forget that there's a difference. Epictetus, once a slave, later a teacher of emperors, built his entire worldview around this one idea. There are things in your control and things forever outside of it. Your thoughts, your choices, your character, that's you. The past, the weather, other people's opinions, not yours to carry. You can't control whether they text you back. You can't control the layoffs. You can't control the storm brewing in the economy or in someone else's mind. But you can control whether you meet this moment with panic or with presence. You remember Sarah. At 29, she had it all on paper. A downtown loft, a high-paying job at a startup, stock options that whispered of early retirement. But beneath the surface, everything was cracking. Her co-founder ghosted during a funding round. The market turned. Investors started pulling out. And Sarah? She was holding the broken pieces, trying to tape them back together while pretending nothing was wrong. Panic attacks crept in like fog. First at work, then in the elevator, then just any time she checked her email. She kept pushing, kept trying to save it, until the day her body said no more. Collapsed on her kitchen floor, chest tight, sobbing. She wasn't dying, but it felt like it. And that night, alone, trembling, she Googled the words, "How to stop feeling like everything is your fault." Somewhere in the search results, she found a thread about Stoicism and Epictetus's Enchiridion, a tiny manual for living. She read a single line, paraphrased. "You are not disturbed by things, but by your opinion of things." It hit her like cold water, because she realized the company was falling apart, yes, but her suffering, it came from trying to stop that fall with her bare hands. Sarah didn't become a monk. She didn't move to the mountains or delete Instagram, but she started doing something radical. She began asking herself, in every moment of crisis, is this mine to carry? She started letting silence happen in meetings instead of filling it with nervous solutions. She stopped apologizing when things didn't go her way. She didn't try to fix her co-founder. She focused on the one thing she could shape, her response. It wasn't easy, but the panic stopped driving. Eventually, she left the startup, took 6 months off, went back to work at a slower pace on her terms, not because the world got easier, but because she stopped trying to control what wasn't hers. You sit on the edge of your bed now, phone dimmed. You wonder, what if you've been fighting the wrong battle? You've been trying to control outcomes when all you ever had was your effort. Trying to make people like you when all you ever had was your integrity. Trying to guarantee success when all you ever had was your focus. The Stoics didn't promise an easy life. They didn't even promise peace in the way we think of it. They offered something sturdier, a kind of calm that comes from clarity. Not everything will be fine, but even if it's not, I can be. Here's where things get weird. Some scholars argue the Stoics were too rigid, too emotional. Isn't it human to care about things outside our control? Isn't detachment just another word for denial? Maybe. You step out into the morning light. It's early, quiet, the kind of silence that feels earned. There's a coolness in the air, a breeze that brushes against your skin like a soft reminder you're still here. You haven't fixed everything, but you found something stronger than solutions, clarity. And now you start to wonder, what does it really mean to lead yourself when everything outside you is chaos? A figure comes to mind. Not a monk, not a guru, but an emperor. Imagine this. You're Marcus Aurelius. Rome is cracking under the weight of disease and war. Enemies are pressing in on all sides. Your generals are scheming. Your best friend has just betrayed you. Your own body aches with illness. You rule the most powerful empire on earth, and yet you wake up each morning, not to dictate orders, but to write quietly to yourself. Not for public eyes, not for legacy, but to remember how to stay calm. Marcus Aurelius wasn't just an emperor. He was a man who carried unimaginable pressure and still sought peace, not control. He led armies, governed millions, and buried children. He was worshipped as a god, but knew himself as a student. And every morning, before the chaos resumed, he'd sit with a wax tablet and write reflections. Not grand philosophies, but questions, gentle reminders. Things like, will you be angry when a fig tree produces figs? Remember how small you are in the face of time. Do what's in front of you, with justice, humility, and love. Modern scholars call it journaling, but for Marcus, it was survival, a map back to stillness in the middle of war. You think of Marcus as a man lost in thought, but what if he was more like you than you think? Take Ava, for example. She's not famous, not ancient, just a night shift nurse in an ICU. During the height of the COVID pandemic, Ava worked 14-hour days, masked, gloved, exhausted. She held hands with patients taking their final breaths. She FaceTimed loved ones who couldn't come say goodbye. She watched colleagues break down, walk out, fall apart. And one night, on her brief break in the staff lounge, scrolling through burnout memes and grief posts, she came across a quote attributed to Marcus. Something short. Waste no more time arguing what a good person should be. Be one. She screenshotted it, wrote it on a sticky note. Then she started writing every morning before work. Not big entries, just a few lines. Breathe deeply. Your fear is not your enemy. You cannot save everyone, but you can show up. Let this day be enough. She didn't post it anywhere, didn't tell anyone, but it grounded her. Because when everything else was spinning, she had this moment, this ritual where she reminded herself of who she wanted to be. Like Marcus did, not to inspire others, but to remember herself. This is where the Stoic leadership idea flips everything modern on its head. Leadership to the Stoics isn't domination or charisma or being right all the time. It's discipline. It's emotional clarity. It's knowing when to step back instead of react. Marcus wasn't perfect. He made mistakes, some large, some tragic. He trusted the wrong people. He overlooked his son's incompetence. He too cracked under pressure. But through it all, he returned to the page, to that little voice inside him that asked, not how do I win, but how do I live rightly in this moment, right now? And isn't that what we all want? Not to be emperors, but to be composed, not to have control over millions, but to lead ourselves through the storm. And now the day is beginning. The noise returns. The world knocks again, but you've got something different this time. Not armor exactly, but intention. You're not here to control the storm. You're here to stand inside it with grace. Pause. And with the wind rising, a soft truth returns. You don't need to be perfect, but you do need to return again and again to what matters. Because leadership isn't about being above the noise. It's about remembering who you are when the noise is deafening. The afternoon hums with quiet ambition. You walk past office buildings where dreams buzz behind glass, spreadsheets, pitches, Slack pings, everyone chasing something. More sales, more reach, more influence. You wonder if anyone here remembers why they started chasing in the first place. You look down at your phone. Another notification, another offer, another post from someone who made it by 27. And you ask yourself, how much is enough? Seneca knew this question well. He had everything: power, fame, a fortune that could fill colosseums. He was advisor to an emperor, one of the wealthiest men in Rome. But in his writings, there's a persistent theme. He didn't trust any of it, because he had seen what success could do to the soul. Imagine Seneca, dressed in simple robes, pacing his courtyard. He writes to a friend, not about triumphs, but about letting go. He's seen the gilded traps, how luxury breeds dependency, how comfort becomes expectation, how ambition becomes a cage. He tells himself, paraphrased, "You may possess many things, but you are possessed if you need them." This from a man who lived in palaces. It wasn't about renouncing wealth. It was about asking, if it all disappeared tomorrow, would I still be myself? You think of Darren. In his 30s, he was already a legend on Wall Street. A desk by the window, a Rolex on his wrist, a bonus that made headlines. He didn't just win, he outworked, outmaneuvered, outlasted. But one night, on the 73rd floor, he stayed late again. Looking out over the city, he saw everything he thought he wanted, and it felt hollow. He couldn't remember the last time he laughed without checking the clock, the last real conversation that wasn't a transaction, the last time he woke up excited, not just obligated. That weekend, he booked a solo trip to Italy. No laptop, no meetings. In a small bookshop in Naples, he found a thin paperback, letters from a Stoic, Seneca. He read it in cafes. He read it in the park. He underlined this: "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor." And something cracked open. Not in a dramatic movie scene way, just a quiet internal shift. When Darren flew home, he didn't quit everything. He just stopped chasing, stopped equating worth with wealth. He started writing music again, volunteered, traded a promotion for more time with his sister's kids. And he said this once at dinner: "I didn't stop being ambitious, I just changed the target." Seneca wrestled with this too. People called him a hypocrite. How can a man speak of moderation while holding a fortune? But maybe that's what makes his reflections feel real. He wasn't preaching from a mountaintop. He was struggling in the marketplace, just like you. Trying to answer the question, how do you live with success without being owned by it? Modern life doesn't make this easy. We're told to dream bigger, monetize hobbies, turn every passion into a side hustle. We grind for more likes, more leverage, more legacy. But what if true freedom isn't found in more? What if it's found in enough? Enough money to breathe, enough time to think, enough space to feel joy that isn't scheduled. There's a deeper question here that still splits philosophers. Should we desire anything? Is it noble to want success as long as you're not attached? Or should we aim to shed all desires and live in tranquil detachment? Some say Stoicism edges too close to apathy. Others say it's the ultimate freedom, wanting nothing but what is. Seneca walked that line carefully. He didn't say desire was evil. He said need is what breaks you. To want something, human. To depend on it for your identity, dangerous. So what does this look like in your world? Maybe it's closing the laptop at 5, even when others are still grinding. Maybe it's saying no to the shiny opportunity that would cost your peace. Maybe it's choosing rest over relevance. You're not lazy for slowing down. You're not a failure for stepping back. You're just awake. Awake to the fact that no amount of external achievement can fill an internal void. Only alignment can do that. Seneca once practiced poverty for days each month. He wore simple clothes, ate stale bread, not to punish him. Evening falls. The city quiets. Lights flicker on behind curtains. Families eating dinner. Someone practicing piano. Another face lit by Netflix's soft glow. You're alone, but not lonely. Something in you feels deeper, like you're starting to see life from the inside out. And now, it's time to meet the one who had nothing and was freer than kings. Epictetus, a man born into slavery, crippled, powerless, poor. And yet, he spoke like someone who held the keys to the entire universe. Imagine this. You are Epictetus, a young boy. Your master breaks your leg in a fit of rage. It never heals right. You walk with pain for the rest of your life. You're owned, controlled. You have no money, no family. You sleep on the floor of your master's villa. But inside, something is rising. A realization that even if your body is chained, your mind is yours. That no one, not even the emperor, can make you think something you don't choose to think, feel something you don't give permission to, become someone you don't consent to be. You are free, because you've decided to be. Epictetus didn't write anything down. His student, Arrian, recorded his teachings, because Epictetus wasn't interested in looking wise. He wanted people to live free. His whole philosophy could be reduced to one idea: control what you can, let go of what you can't. But it's not the passive surrender it sounds like. It's an act of fierce clarity. You think of Noor. She grew up in a strict household, expectations high, rules rigid. Even as an adult, she felt trapped by guilt, by obligation, by who she was supposed to be. She wanted to travel, but her parents said no. She wanted to change careers, but her culture said that was foolish. She wanted to fall in love, but her past said she didn't deserve it. One day, after another argument with her father, she walked out of the house and sat on a bench by the bus stop. She pulled out her phone and searched, Stoicism, Emotional Freedom. A thread popped up. Someone quoted Epictetus. It's not things that disturb us, but our judgment about things. And something clicked. The voices in her head weren't facts. They were choices. Choices she had absorbed, rehearsed, and accepted. But she could choose differently. That week, she made a list. What I can control, what I can't control. My response, their opinion. My values, their fear. My actions, their approval. It didn't change her father, but it changed her. She didn't yell anymore. She didn't shrink. She stopped asking for permission to be herself. And slowly, the chains dropped. Epictetus knew that freedom wasn't about power. It was about ownership of the self. He said, paraphrased, if someone insults you, ask yourself, does it change who I am? If not, why be upset? Radical stuff, especially in a world where reputation is currency, where we're told to defend, react, clap back. But Epictetus didn't play that game. He stayed rooted. because he knew where his power ended and where it truly began. This raises a question scholars still debate. Was Epictetus too dismissive of pain? Did he undervalue human suffering in his quest for detachment? Should we really be able to stay calm in the face of injustice, betrayal, cruelty? Or was he pointing to a kind of strength we've forgotten exists? The kind that doesn't mean ignoring pain, but refusing to let pain tell your story for you. Your mind drifts to modern prisons, solitary confinement, hours, days, months with no one. Some break, but some rise. They journal, they meditate, they study law and change their cases. They use the very walls meant to break them as mirrors. That's Epictetus. Not positive thinking, not repression, but a bold clarity. You can take everything from me, except my choice to respond with dignity. What would it look like if you did that now? If, the next time someone cuts you off in traffic, you didn't curse, you just whispered, "That's not mine to carry." If, the next time someone ghosts you or judges you, you didn't spiral, you just smiled inward and said, "I know who I am." If, the next time life disappoints you, you grieve fully, then say, "The night deepens, the noise fades into a soft hush, and the pain you've been hiding starts to speak." Not loud, not dramatic, just a slow, quiet ache in the chest. Loss, exhaustion, longing. Whatever name it wears, it's the same ancient weight. This is the part no philosophy can skip. The part where Stoicism meets the messy, brutal, beautiful business of being human. It's easy to sound wise in calm seas. But what happens when your world cracks? When the call comes in the middle of the night? When they leave and don't come back? When your hands shake before work and you have no idea why? Does Stoicism help here? Or does it fall apart like everything else? You remember a time you couldn't get out of bed. The blinds stayed shut for days. Friends texted. You ignored. Food lost flavor. Time lost meaning. Maybe it was a breakup. Maybe burnout. Maybe grief that didn't even have a name. But it was real. And for a moment, all the mantras, the books, the advice, they felt far away. Too clean, too distant, too rational. Because pain isn't always logical. Sometimes it just is. And yet, in the rubble, something survived. A single line from Marcus Aurelius drifted back, not as a quote, but a feeling. If it's endurable, endure it. If it's not, stop complaining. Harsh? Maybe, but also strangely empowering. Because what if your pain isn't a curse, but a test of your training? Not to ignore it, not to fake strength, but to meet it fully and remain standing. Meet Lila. She lost her partner in a motorcycle accident. Sudden, violent, unfair. The kind of grief that empties your soul with a single sentence. For weeks, she floated, numb, functional, hollow. She tried therapy, church, journaling. Nothing made it hurt less. One night, she listened to a podcast on Stoicism. They quoted Epictetus. "When you kiss your child goodnight, whisper to yourself, 'They are mortal.'" She cried, not because it made her feel better, but because it named what no one else would. That love includes loss. That nothing we hold is promised. That the beauty of having is tied to the risk of losing. Stoicism doesn't erase heartbreak, it honors it. It says, yes, this hurts, and yes, you can endure it.
not by pretending you're fine, but by remembering who you are beneath the pain. A soul that can suffer and still choose. A mind that can ache and still act. Seneca once wrote, paraphrased, "No man grieves long unless he grieves for himself." It's uncomfortable to hear, but maybe he's not judging grief. He's naming the part of it that turns inward. The part that loops. Why me? What if I'd done something different? Will I ever feel okay again? That's not grief. That's ego clinging to what it can't control. Real mourning is sacred, but self-pity, that's where we can get stuck. You think of burnout now, a different kind of pain, not sharp, just empty. Wake, work, scroll, sleep, repeat, repeat, repeat. You hit all the deadlines, met all the quotas, smiled in every Zoom. But inside, you're a ghost of yourself. Here, Stoicism asks the hardest question of all. What are you burning out for? Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire during plague, war, betrayal, and yet he wrote daily. He asked himself, what is within my control today? What is my duty? Am I living according to nature or against it? For the Stoics, burnout isn't just fatigue. It's a sign of misalignment. When your life stops matching your values, when your yes isn't true, when you trade peace for performance. So, what can you do?
The sky outside is barely changing. A deep, inky blue shifting softly toward dawn. You're still here. And somehow, through all the philosophy, the ancient voices, the echoes of emperors and exiles, you feel something has shifted. Not dramatically, not suddenly, just a quiet steadiness. Like you've remembered something you forgot you always knew. You stand at your window, breathe in, breathe out, and consider the journey you've just walked. Not just across time, from Marcus to Seneca to Epictetus, but across your own inner terrain. You face the noise, the chaos, the longing, the ache. And through it all, a single thread has run beneath your feet like stone beneath snow. You do not control the world, but you do control how you meet it. This is the essence of Stoicism. Not cold logic, not empty detachment, but a radical act of self-ownership. You don't flinch at discomfort. You don't beg for ease. You show up, as you are, where you are, fully present. Even when life doesn't ask nicely, especially then. Imagine this. It's a normal Tuesday. Emails flood your inbox. Your boss snaps. You get a passive-aggressive text from someone you love. The train's late. Your dinner burns. But this time, you pause. You breathe. You think, this isn't about me. You remind yourself, what's in my control? What's not? You move through the moment, not above it, not beneath it, but through. With poise, with humor, with presence. That is Stoicism, alive in the modern world. Not in monasteries, not on mountaintops, but in traffic, in heartbreak, in job interviews, in long silences, in hard conversations. You remember Seneca's wisdom on time, Epictetus's clarity on control, Marcus's daily journaling to stay human in a world of gods and monsters. Each of them lived in harsh times, disease, exile, enslavement, betrayal, war. And yet, they wrote, they thought, they reflected, they tried. They weren't superheroes. They were people, like you. So, what does it mean to live stoically today? It means waking up and asking, what is essential? What matters most right now? What am I giving my energy to, and is it worthy of me? You can still chase dreams, still fall in love, still dance, cry, laugh, fail. But you'll do it from a place of stillness, not scrambling. From grounded choice, not reflex. From calm, not control.
You'll stop arguing with reality. You'll stop needing others to act differently in order for you to feel peace. You'll stop outsourcing your worth to jobs, followers, or anyone who doesn't see your full light. And in that release, you'll find the most rebellious freedom of all. There's one more story, yours. You've been living it this whole time. Every decision you've made, every pain you've endured has brought you here, to this quiet, strange, powerful moment. You may not be where you want to be yet, but you are not lost. Because now you know what kind of traveler you are. One who walks with intention, one who lives with presence, one who acts from virtue, not validation. And what is virtue? For the Stoics, it's not moral perfection. It's character, integrity, courage, compassion, wisdom, living in alignment, walking your talk, loving without clinging, giving without keeping score. It's not about being perfect, it's about being whole. Marcus Aurelius never called himself a Stoic. He just tried to live well. So can you. Start small. A single breath before reacting. A single moment of reflection before speaking. A single act of kindness when it's least expected. One drop, one choice, one practice. And over time, the flood of your life changes shape. You are not here to control everything. You are here to live fully in the midst of everything. No matter how unstable the world feels, no matter how loud your fears grow, you now carry a stillness they can't touch. And as the light of dawn kisses your window, you whisper, just to yourself, I am calm, I am present, I am free.
You've walked with emperors and exiles, sat in silence with grief, stood in the middle of storms and didn't flinch. Now you come back to yourself, to the warmth of your own skin, to the breath you carry like a prayer. There is nothing you need to chase, nothing more to prove, no one else to be. You are already enough, even when you forget, even when the world says otherwise. Let the noise fade. Let the to-do lists rest. Let the past loosen its grip and the future soften its glare. You are here, now, alive in this quiet miracle of a moment. You've survived things you thought would break you. You've carried burdens no one else saw. You've kept going when no one clapped, when no one noticed, when everything said stop. That is strength. That is Stoic. But more than that, that is you. Breathe easy. You don't have to be invincible. Just awake. Just honest. Just whole. May your sleep be deep. May your thoughts be light. May your heart remember it was never alone. End of script. Stay strong, stay present, sweet dreams.